Hi, my name is Matthew Belisario. Welcome to another edition of the Belisario Sonic YouTube channel. Today, another edition of Pivotal Artists, Pivotal Albums, and today a very unique artist that had a huge influence on me as a musician and as a lover of music, and that is a guy named Martin Simpson. And so I'm going to talk about 4 pivotal albums that were very influential on me and how I changed my approach to the acoustic guitar because of him. And so this is somebody who's not very well known. A guy born in 1953 from Lincolnshire, England. His first release was in 1976. 21 solo albums to his credit, I think, and 16 albums as a collaborator. 9 albums, compilation albums, and live performances, as well as instructional DVDs. Anybody that's really into acoustic guitar probably knows about him, but the average person probably is not that familiar with him. Martin Simpson, Smoke and Mirrors was the first album that I ever discovered by him in my early 20s. And when I first heard it, of course, when I started playing acoustic guitar, it was going to be with a pick. So if I played something like See That My Grave Is Kept Clean, it would be this one kind favor I ask of you. One kind favor I ask of you. With a pick. Well, after I heard Martin Simpson play See That My Grave Is Kept Clean, and although I cannot play it nearly as good as he plays it, it changed the way I looked at the acoustic guitar because he was playing with his fingers and his fingernails and a finger pick, a thumb pick, and almost in a claw hammer style. And so when I heard this album called Smoke and Mirrors, which I recommend that you go out and get if you can find it, I was really intrigued. And the second album that I picked up soon after was called Live. Some of the songs down here that caught my attention was See That My Grave Is Kept Clean, a song called Broke Down Engine on here, a song called I Want My Crown. Those are just fantastic songs. And what's really cool about Martin is he specializes in kind of this folk music, traditional English ballads and folk music, as well as American blues. And then this album, Live here, a couple of the songs that caught my attention on here was called Betsey the Serving Maid, Hard Love, and Broke Down Engine as well. These 2 albums I would consider to be pivotal albums. And it's interesting how some artists aren't the big popular artists that have a huge influence on you. So now instead of playing with the pick, I started discovering different ways to play with my fingers. So it's one kind favor I ask of you. One kind favor I ask of you. One kind favor I ask of you. Won't you see that my grave is kept clean? So now, when I go out and play, over many years now, because I discovered Martin in my early 20s, but when I go out and I play, for example, in the acoustic trio that I sometimes play in, it depends on what kind of song, what kind of dynamic I'm trying to achieve. I'll play certain songs with my fingers rather than with a pick. So, if I play maybe a Pink Floyd song or something like that, I'll play with a pick. But if I go and maybe play a eerie blues tune, like this one, See That My Grave Is Kept Clean, I'll play with my fingers. Or maybe a country song like I'll use my fingers and get a completely different dynamic than what I would get with a pick. And if I'm playing Elvis, so completely changed the way I approach the acoustic guitar, even though I'm not playing exactly like Martin plays. He plays with a thumb pick and these hardened fingernails, and he gets his own sound. But like with all musicians that influence us, it starts by hearing and then us trying to replicate what we hear to the extent that we can do that. And then we try to make it our own. And so that's what Martin Simpson really did for me. He had a huge influence on me as an acoustic guitar player. 2 other albums I would call pivotal. Bootleg USA. If you can find this, go out and get it if you're into acoustic music. Fantastic medley of One More Day and Boots of Spanish Leather on here. It's absolutely stunning to listen to it. Another song called Icarus, which is an old song that I guess he rearranged and used lyrics to on the mythical story of Icarus. And it's absolutely phenomenal. Now, one thing that Martin Simpson is great at doing is using different guitar tunings. And that I really never picked up on. I have a hard enough time playing in standard E and open G. That's pretty much the 2 tunings that I'll use. Sometimes I'll use a dad-gad tuning. But that actually came from Martin Simpson. And so the few tunings that I do use came from his influence. And he uses several different tunings in order to achieve different dynamics, different notes, the way he wants to approach the song. On the acoustic guitar, he'll use different tunings. He's really brilliant at doing that. For me, I stick to pretty much 3 tunings. Standard E, open G for slide, and I'll use a dad-gad sometimes. That's about it. But Martin Simpson really, it was the striking of the fingers. So even I'll use a down strike sometimes. I'll use a kind of a pull up. So I tried to emulate that as best as I could just by listening to his CDs. And again, it's not as good as his, but all we can do is try to achieve what we're trying to achieve with what we can, what our abilities are able to achieve. And hopefully that grows over time. So another album that I would highly recommend is one called The Bramblebriar by Martin Simpson. And a beautiful song called Dives in Lazarus. Another version of Betsey the Serving Maid is on here. Another one called Rounding the Horn. But the whole album is wonderful. This is an absolutely fantastic record. So the pivotal albums, I would say, is The Bramblebriar, Bootleg USA, this one called Live, and this other one called Smoke and Mirrors. This is an absolutely phenomenal 4 records if you're into acoustic guitar music, and great vocals as well. Martin's got great vocals. So he really changed the way that I would forever approach the acoustic guitar, even though I'm very inadequate at still doing it. But to me, it's really, this is one episode I really wanted to do because it's one of those things where the artist is not very well known by a lot of people, and yet such a huge influence on me, and still is. And those songs stick in my head, and the way he strikes the guitar string sticks in my head. And when I'm playing live, I always try to emulate the sound that he gets on his acoustic guitar. I highly recommend you going out and searching YouTube, pulling up Martin Simpson, looking at his live performances and his instructional videos, and you'll learn a lot from him. He's just a really amazing guitar player, and I can't thank him enough for the influence that he's had on me as a guitar player and as a musician, as a lover of music. And so there you have it, another yet edition of Pivotal Artists, Pivotal Albums. Thanks for joining me. Please subscribe or like or tell other people about the videos if you're enjoying them. Have a good evening. Take care.